Thanks so much for keeping it here on Evening Plus. Okay, we're at that point where it's toward the end of January and everyone had those robust health and fitness goals at the top of the year. Maybe you're having a little trouble. We've got someone who can help with that. I'm joined here virtually by Dawn Menning. She's a registered dietitian and certified diabetes care and education specialist. Dawn, thanks so much for being with us tonight. If folks are having a little trouble now that, we're about a month into those resolutions, let's talk a little bit about how folks can get back on track in a healthy way.
Sure. A great way to get on track is really don't focus on changing everything. Focus on a few things that you think you can do, whether it be changing your eating habits, maybe adding more fiber, protein, or becoming more active. Rather than looking at everything as a whole, it's about consistency, making small changes that lead to long-term habits.
Yeah, absolutely. Not packing it all on at once where things get too overwhelming. If someone maybe had some goals and they're realizing that those are not as sustainable as they once thought, what's a good way to focus, on maybe one or two things? And what are some good things to be focusing on if, maybe we're a little off track at this point?
Yeah, so tracking your food intake, not even just the quantity, but also the quality, your hydration, your sleep, and your activity. And tools like Newtwo can help you track all of these things all in the palm of your hand just through an app.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when it comes to tracking food and nutrition and looking at that versus those fitness goals, anything you recommend on, tackling one or the other, maybe steps that might be most suitable for one of those categories?
Yeah, so definitely with eating, it's really more about the quality of the things that you are eating. So looking at, are you getting enough protein? Are you getting enough fiber in your diet? Are you making the right choices, choosing less processed foods? That really will make a difference. And activity, the goal is to get 150 minutes of physical activity each week. So how are you progressing towards reaching those goals? So, slowly building up, making small changes, in incremental nudges that will help push you in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. Any word of advice on, okay, we're 1 month into 2026. We've got, a lot of year left in front of us. There's such this drastic push to, okay, holidays are over. I'm going to, change so many things. As you said, taking it slow, but looking out at the long term of, the year in front of us. Any way to sort of conceptualize, okay, this is where I want to be, a year from now, or even just 6 months from now?
Quick fixes don't work. So it's all about long-term goals. So making those habits change and using tools to help you. So really finding those tools like the Newtwo app that can really help people fine-tune what they want to do. It's something that's supportive. Having good instant feedback can really help someone so that they can make changes and identify what they're doing to improve it the next day. So really helping people stay on track and being committed is really important. It's not about being perfect every day. It's about that consistency.
Absolutely. And, if folks are kind of kicking themselves right now that, maybe they've fallen off that wagon that they, had set at the beginning of the year, you focused so much on positivity and support and, small steps. Anything else for folks who are kind of beating themselves up right now? We're only on, January 20th. There's plenty of time left in the year, if you're looking to make some, health and fitness leeway.
Yeah, so there's never not a good time to start. You can always start today, tomorrow. It's really about making that commitment and making those positive steps. So, tackling things one day at a time and not doing everything at once. So just focusing on a few small key things to help get you started, because it does take time and change takes time, but it will happen.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Dawn, thank you so much for joining us today on Evening Plus. We so appreciate your time and expertise.
Thank you.